Our top story tonight, Governor Polis puts local governments on notice. Either they comply with state housing laws or they risk millions of dollars in state funding.
The governor signed an executive order that takes the battle over local control to a new level. Your political reporter Sean Boyd sat down with the governor today.
So Sean, how much money is at stake here?
At least $100 million a year. The governor means business, but some local governments aren't backing down. They say the state has no business making decisions about local land use. They were already contemplating legal action, and today's executive action could be the final straw.
It's really one of the top issues that affects our quality of life as Coloradans, and frankly also our economic prosperity.
There are few issues Governor Polis is more passionate about than housing. Over the last 2 years, he's signed bills regarding residential occupancy limits and accessory dwelling units, transit-oriented communities, and manufactured homes, even limits on staircases and parking spots. But not everyone is on board with the new laws. Some local governments have flat out refused to comply. So Polis is upping the ante.
What we are doing now is making sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is
by tying state funding to local compliance. The governor signed an executive order that requires the Department of Local Government to track which local governments are implementing the new laws and which aren't. Those that are would receive priority when it comes to dozens of discretionary grants related to economic development, transportation, and energy efficiency.
We need all of our communities to step up and be part of that housing solution.
We would love to take the governor or anyone on a tour of what we have been doing for affordability.
Westminster Mayor Nancy McNally says many of the new laws are unworkable here, where undeveloped land is scarce and water even more so. What's more, she says, the state constitution gives home rule cities like Westminster control over land use.
We don't need the state telling us what to do when in the Constitution it states that is our job, and we take that seriously.
So seriously, she says, they directed staff not to comply with certain laws, even if it means they lose state funding. Over the last 5 years, Westminster has received nearly $6 million in grants for 44 different projects.
But this comes down to local control.
The governor disagrees.
I hope it leads them to think twice about it, because housing, frankly, is a statewide issue.
The executive order is not only drawing fire from some local governments, but House Republicans. Representative Chris Richardson, the ranking Republican on the Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee, called the order government overreach masquerading as housing reform, and said Polis' strategy of threatening to withhold funds over a political disagreement mirrors President Trump's approach, which the governor has criticized. A spokesperson for the governor says President Trump is ripping the rug out from states by removing federal funding allocated and mandated by Congress. While in the case of the governor, the majority of the legislature passed the housing laws, and the executive order simply implements them. It doesn't undermine or change them. And state agencies will begin posting the grants that are impacted within the next couple of months, and those related to public health and safety and disaster relief, those will be excluded.
You mentioned some local governments were already thinking about legal action. You think that's likely?
You know, Colorado Municipal League and Colorado County say they're still reviewing this executive action, and will make a decision at a later point.
All right. We'll see what happens, and we know you will cover that for us, Sean. Thank you.